Hello creatives, welcome to yet another amazing edition of simplified tutorial, Photoshop tutorial. So in this class, we are going to be doing the Glassmorphism effect. I want to show you how to achieve this effect in just a few minutes. All right, so you go to File, New, and then you're going to create a new document, 1920 by 1080 pixels, 72 resolution, and you create new. Here we have our blank document. Browse your file and drag in the image you want to work with. So you drag it in and you drop it on your canvas and size it up proportionately. If you can hold shift if your computer is not set up to stretch proportionally. So you can hold shift so that everything is stretched proportionally. Mine is already set from the properties from the preferences panel so that it should stretch proportionally. So this is it. I set it up like that. I just want it to enter a little bit more so that we have more depth into the image. So you enter that we, and that is it. So immediately you set this in, I'm going to go to the shapes. I'm going to go to the shapes panel and then I'm going to check the rectangular tool and I draw this rectangle like this. You have this your amazing rectangle just like so. So the rectangle is black. You can see this is where I want to put the glass morphism effect. And then immediately I'm going to Control J to duplicate the main layer, which is this image layer you can see here. So I'm going to take that on top of the rectangle layer, and then I'm going to press Alt or Option on Mac and make it a clipping mask. So if I take this off, you realize that this is what we have done. We have simply input that other layer into this layer. So I'm going to put back this layer on again. And what do we need to do now? Click on the duplicate layer where you want to apply the effects, and we're going to go to Filter, and we're first of all going to apply Gaussian blur. So we're going to apply Gaussian blur. You can already see the Gaussian blur. The value I put here is 12. I take OK. So my Gaussian blur is applied, but that's not enough. So we are still going to go again on the same layer and we're going to apply another filter. This time around, you are going to go to the filter gallery and you are going to have some effects there. And this time I want to apply the glass effect. So if you go under distort, you see glass. So I'm just going to take the glass. Your computer might be difficult to apply this because these filters are sometimes heavy, but I believe this one is pretty light enough to work on nearly every computer. So we want to apply the glass effect, and these are the values. I put the distortion at 5. I'm going to change it to 6, and I'm going to put the smoothness to 4, and then I'm going to I've choose the frosted glass style, not blocks. You see, this is block style, this is canvas style, this is tiny lens. So I'm going to go with frosted, which is this one. Or in this case, let's just apply the tiny lens so that we have small tiny lenses. And then the scaling, we can go on the scaling. You can see how the scales are changing. Do you want it thick? Do you want it light? So this is the effect that we are going in for. And immediately I finish, I take OK. I have applied that filter. You can see how the filter is applied, but it's not very visible. So the filter has been applied. So what do? I'm going to lock the layer on top, the first layer, and then I'm going to select this rectangle and I'm going to put a stroke. I want to give it a stroke so that the outline should be visible, and I'm putting an outline of 1 and a stroke color of white, which you can see. That is that, so that you can basically see the outline, but that's not enough. So I'm still going to give it a drop shadow. I'm going to give it a drop shadow so that it can be, I'm going to hide this so that you can see how the shadow is being applied. So I'm going to shift it a bit this way and then apply again that drop shadow well so that you can see exactly the distance. So we want to give it a little bit of distance. We want to spread it more. We want to reduce the opacity of the drop shadow a bit and make it a little bit in a better way so that it should be softer. I want to make it softer. You can see how we have applied that drop shadow. So we have applied a little bit of drop shadow around it. To make it even more distinctive, I'm going to apply some outer glow. So I take outer glow and then I'm going to select the color from the image, which is here. Select this color here so that it reflects the image. Let us make the outer glow a little bit bigger. Let's spread it more. Let's increase the size just a bit, not too much. Let's increase the outer glow a bit. Exactly. So you just play around the values and obtain what looks pleasing to your eye. So this is it. And basically, with this layer locked, means that I can now move this my glass effect onto any part of the window. I can even resize it to make it smaller. You see, it can just be applied only in small, just to apply it in these areas. So you see that this rectangle is scalable, and I already put a rectangle with rounded corners. You can always go to properties when you have put your rectangle. You climb to the properties panel, and you can have these corners to play with. So that is basically how easy it is to apply that. So that is it. You can see that. So you have your rectangle, you can play around. So we're going to input some text. So I'm just going to click on the text panel and put some text there. I put the legend morphism. So that's it. I'm going to increase the strength, the size, and then I'm going to position it here. The contrast is a bit low, so you cannot really distinguish it from the. So I'm going to put a drop shadow on the text. Put a bit of a drop shadow there so that it can make it a bit different. I'm going to make the shadow. I'm going to reduce the spread, reduce the distance, increase the opacity of the shadow a bit so that you can easily really read it. Yeah, so I want that shadow to cast onto the glass. So that is that. So you have the legend morphism. So this is it. You can link these two layers. Sorry about that. You can link this one and this one. I can basically link these two layers together so that as I'm moving it, it is moving with it all along on your glass morphism effect. So basically that is how you apply the glass morphism effect. First of all, apply Gaussian blur on the layer which you have clipped masked into your shape, and then you can apply filter gallery and choose any uh, glass effect of your choice, and then control a bit of the properties, and you have your glass morphism effect. Is very handy when you want to create contrast on a particular section of your social media flyer design and stuff. It's a very cool effect. And until then, see you in the next class. Ciao.